Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're diving deep into Pyth Network. It's a project that's trying to, really shake up how we access financial market data. You're here because Pyth Network and its potential have got you curious, and let me tell you, this is going to be fascinating.
It's a hot topic for sure, and for good reason.
Right. Imagine. Real-time, accurate financial data. It's crucial for making smart decisions. But so often it's hidden away, behind these expensive paywalls, only accessible to the Wall Street giants.
Yeah, traditionally, access to this kind of information has been really exclusive, but Pyth Network wants to change that. They're aiming for a world where this data is democratized, available to everyone.
That's a bold goal. They call themselves a first-party financial oracle, but what does that even mean?
Essentially, it means cutting out the middleman. So instead of relying on second or third-party data providers, Pyth Network goes directly to the source, right to the trading firms, exchanges, market makers, the folks generating this valuable data in real time.
So no more relying on outdated information or whispers down the lane.
Precisely. And to ensure these data providers are on board, Pyth Network has this clever system of rewards built in.
Interesting. Tell me more. Who are these data providers, these publishers, as Pyth Network calls them?
Right. So publishers are like the backbone of Pyth Network. They provide the raw data. Think live cryptocurrency prices, stock quotes, commodity futures, you name it. And it's not just about the numbers. They even include confidence intervals with their data.
Confidence intervals. Now, that sounds a bit complicated.
It's more straightforward than it sounds. Basically, a confidence interval gives you a range, and the actual price is likely within that range. It's a way to express how certain the data is.
So it's like saying, we're 95% sure the price of Bitcoin right now is between $30,000 and $30,050.
Exactly. And these intervals are crucial because they help users assess risk. A tighter interval equals more confidence in the data. Now, those who benefit from this valuable data, Pyth Network calls them consumers.
Okay, consumers. So anyone needing this kind of data to make informed financial decisions, right?
Exactly. It could be anyone from individual DeFi users to large institutions, even developers building the next generation of those decentralized applications. If you're in the DeFi space, access to this type of real-time, high-quality data is, invaluable.
It sounds like they're creating this entirely new marketplace for financial information.
That's a great way to put it. And here's where it gets interesting. Pyth Network uses a unique poll oracle system. It means users only access the data they need when they need it, not a constant, possibly irrelevant stream of information.
So it's like having your own personal data concierge instead of sifting through endless news feeds all the time.
Exactly. It's much more efficient. And in high-frequency trading, rapid-fire DeFi transactions, efficiency is everything.
Makes sense. But how does data actually get from those publishers to us, the eager consumers? It is a decentralized system. There's got to be some tech wizardry happening in the background, right?
You're right to be curious. It all comes down to this innovative use of a cross-chain architecture. This is where PythNet enters the picture. It's their own blockchain, built specifically for handling everything Pyth.
Hold on. Their own blockchain. Tell me more about this PythNet.
Think of PythNet as a high-security data center. This is where price data from various publishers comes together, gets aggregated, and then it's relayed out to other blockchains where the consumers are.
How do they make sure this crucial data transfer happens securely and accurately?
PythNet uses something called a proof of authority consensus mechanism. What this means is that instead of relying on energy-intensive mining, like some blockchains do, PythNet has the select group of validators. They have known identities, and they're responsible for verifying and adding new blocks to the chain.
Interesting. So it's about building trust through a network of, vetted authorities.
Exactly. It's a different approach to decentralization, but it's often preferred for its efficiency and scalability, which are essential when you're dealing with this real-time financial data.
Right. No delays when every second counts. So the data is aggregated on PythNet. But we're talking about information moving between different blockchains. How does that actually work?
Pyth Network uses something called decentralized cross-chain messaging protocols. Think of them like bridges between different blockchains. Wormhole is a good example.
So with Wormhole, data can move securely from PythNet to, say, Solana or Ethereum, where it's picked up by the apps or users who need it.
Exactly. This seamless cross-chain communication is really key to what makes Pyth Network so powerful, so adaptable. And because it's a pull system, it avoids overwhelming any single blockchain with constant data updates.
Sounds like they've thought of everything to make it efficient, secure. But with something as critical as financial data, Security has to be a top priority, right? What's stopping someone from, say, manipulating prices or gaming the system?
You've hit on a really critical point. Any system dealing with financial data needs really robust security. And Pyth Network has some unique features to address that. But before we get into the details of those security protocols, let's think about.
The sheer scale of what Pyth Network is going for. It's trying to create a global, decentralized financial data network. With that in mind, how do they even begin to tackle security?
You're spot on. The scope is huge. But Pyth Network handles security on multiple levels, starting with how they approach publisher selection. They're very strict about it.
Ah, so it goes back to those trusted data sources, right?
Exactly. Pyth Network doesn't just accept data from anyone. They vet potential publishers really carefully, looking at their reputation, their track record, the quality of the data they provide. It helps reduce the risk of bad actors trying to, gain the system right from the start.
Like building a fortress, you got to start with the strongest materials. But let's say someone does slip through. How does Pyth Network protect itself from price manipulation once that data is in the system?
That's where their price aggregation algorithm comes in. It's designed to be, incredibly resistant to manipulation, even if you had a bunch of publishers trying to work together.
Okay, walk me through this. How can an algorithm be tamper-proof?
Remember those confidence intervals we talked about? That's key here. The algorithm doesn't just take the raw data as is. It uses those confidence intervals to figure out how reliable each data point is. It's really quite clever.
So a price with a wider confidence interval would carry less weight than a really precise, narrow interval.
You got it. So even if you had one outlier or a group of publishers trying to, say, push the price in a certain direction, they wouldn't be able to drastically change the overall aggregated price. The algorithm prioritizes the most accurate data.
It's like having a built-in BS detector, right?
You could say that. This robust aggregation, together with that careful publisher selection, makes a powerful defense against manipulation. But Pyth Network's commitment to security, it doesn't stop there. They've also taken steps to make sure the network infrastructure itself is really solid.
Which is where, if I'm following you, the whole decentralization thing comes in, right?
Exactly. By spreading responsibility across all these nodes, instead of relying on one central server, Pyth Network becomes much more resilient. It can handle attacks or outages much better.
Don't put all your eggs in one basket, right?
Exactly. Even if part of the network has problems, goes offline, the rest keeps going. Data is still available. No single point of failure.
That's reassuring, especially in the world of finance where the stakes are so high. But let's shift gears for a second and talk about governance. Who's steering the ship, making the decisions about where Pyth Network goes in the future?
That's another area where Pyth Network embraces decentralization. They're building a system of on-chain governance.
On-chain governance, so no CEO, no board directors calling the shots.
Nope. On-chain governance means the decision-making power goes to the network participants, those holding and using the PYTH token.
Okay, so let's talk about this PYTH token. It's more than just a cryptocurrency, right? It has a specific role in the Pyth ecosystem.
Absolutely. Think of it as the fuel that keeps the system running. It has a few important jobs. Firstly, it incentivizes publishers to provide that high-quality data to keep those price feeds accurate.
So publishers are rewarded in PYPH tokens for their contributions.
That's right. And the better their data, the more accurate and reliable, the more they can potentially earn. It encourages everyone to play fair. But the PYTH token also plays a crucial role in network security, too.
How so?
It circles back to the proof of authority consensus mechanism. To become a validator on PythNet, you need to stake, meaning lock up, a significant amount of PYTH tokens. This stake is like collateral. It ensures validators are invested in the network and are incentivized to act honestly.
So, if they mess around, they risk losing those stake tokens, like a security deposit.
Precisely. That staking mechanism helps secure the network, keeps those malicious actors at bay. And finally, let's not forget, those PYTH tokens also play a role in governance.
Right. We were just getting to that. How can token holders get involved in making decisions about Pyth Network's future?
Through a system of on-chain proposals and voting, PYTH token holders can directly influence key things, from how fees are used to the development of new features, even new partnerships.
Like a blockchain-powered democracy. But let's bring it back down to earth. How does Pyth Network actually help someone like me, or anyone listening who's into DeFi?
Well, imagine having that same quality of real-time financial data that Wall Street firms use, but without the huge price tag. That's what Pyth Network delivers.
Okay, I'm listening. Give me an example. How can this data be used in the DeFi space?
The possibilities are huge. But let's take arbitrage, for example. That's about taking advantage of price differences for the same asset on different exchanges. With Pyth Network's data feeds, traders can spot those arbitrage opportunities much faster, execute trades more efficiently, and potentially make serious profit.
So making smarter, faster decisions using the most up-to-date information.
Exactly. Another good example is something called flash loans. These are uncollateralized loans that need to be repaid within the same transaction, often used for arbitrage or other complex DeFi strategies. Pyth Network's accurate, real-time data is really important for calculating how well these lightning-fast transactions will work, how profitable they'll be.
Wow, it's amazing to think how this kind of data accessibility could be such a game changer for people in DeFi.
It really could level the playing field. But here's the thing, the impact of what Pyth Network is doing, it could go way beyond DeFi. We could be talking about a revolution in how financial information is accessed and used by everyone.
Okay, now you've got me really interested. We'll dive into those broader implications right after this. We were just talking about Pyth Network's impact going way beyond DeFi.
Yeah, it's bigger than just making DeFi more efficient. It's really about rethinking how we access and use financial information in a broader sense.
Okay, now you've got me thinking. What could that future look like?
Imagine a world where real-time market data isn't just for Wall Street. What if everyone had access to that same quality of information, from regular investors to small businesses, maybe even in developing countries?
Now that would be a game changer.
Right. Think about the possibilities. More informed investing, better ways to assess risk for loans, maybe even completely new financial products and services designed for those who haven't had access before.
It's like we're talking about a level playing field for the entire financial system.
Exactly. And it's not just about seeing the raw data. Pyth Network's infrastructure could also lead to entirely new ways of doing financial analysis and decision-making.
I'm picturing AI-powered financial advisors that anyone can use, not just those who can afford to pay those high fees.
That's a perfect example. We could see so much innovation as developers and entrepreneurs tap into this readily available data stream, creating tools and services we haven't even thought of yet.
It's both exciting and a little bit daunting at the same time.
It is. It's the nature of disruptive tech, though. It challenges everything we know and forces us to rethink how things work.
And with Pyth Network, it sounds like that disruption could lead to a more transparent and fair and efficient financial system.
That's the hope. But of course, with any new tech, there are potential downsides and challenges we have to consider.
For sure. It's important to stay grounded and realistic. What are some of those potential downsides we should be thinking about?
One concern is misuse of this data if it's so easily available. For example, some complex algorithms could be used to take advantage of market inefficiencies, which could lead to more volatility or even manipulation.
So it's not enough to just make data accessible. It has to be used responsibly, too.
Exactly. Another challenge is making sure a decentralized network like Pyth is sustainable and secure over the long term. As we've said, they have those robust security measures in place. But with anything relying on technology, there's always a risk of new vulnerabilities or unforeseen challenges.
Right? No system is perfect.
It's also key to remember Pyth Network is still relatively new. There's a lot to be done when it comes to scaling the network, expanding its reach, and really ensuring its viability over the long term.
It sounds like it's going to be a fascinating journey. I'm really curious to see how it all unfolds.
Me too. That's what makes Pyth Network so exciting to watch. It's pushing those boundaries of what's possible in the world of finance, and whether it succeeds or fails could have a huge ripple effect on the entire global economy.
It really highlights how we're living in a time of incredible technological change, and the decisions we make today about how we develop and use these technologies will determine what the future looks like.
Absolutely. And who knows, maybe one day having access to real-time financial data will be just as normal as having internet access.
Now that's a future I can get behind. To our listeners, we hope this deep dive into Pyth Network has given you plenty to think about. What do you think about the potential of this technology? We want to hear from you. Share your thoughts with us on social media.
And if you're as fascinated by the future of finance and technology as we are, don't forget to subscribe to The Deep Dive for more explorations into these cutting-edge innovations. Until next time.